Question 1. What was the primary purpose of the Statute of Rhuddlan in 1284? A. To introduce Welsh laws to England. B. To annex Wales to the Crown of England. C. To establish parliamentary representation for Wales. D. To divide Wales into shires. Answer. B. To annex Wales to the Crown of England. The Statute of Rhuddlan in 1284 was primarily aimed at annexing Wales to the Crown of England, integrating the legal system of Wales into that of England. Question 2. Which treaty, signed in 1706, paved the way for the Acts of Union the following year? A. The Treaty of Edinburgh. B. The Treaty of Union. C. The Treaty of Westminster. D. The Treaty of Glasgow. Answer. B. The Treaty of Union. The Treaty of Union signed in 1706 paved the way for the Acts of Union in 1707, which officially united the kingdoms of England and Scotland. Question 3. Who was the UK's first female Prime Minister, and what year did she take office? A. Margaret Thatcher in 1979. B. Theresa May in 2016. C. Indira Gandhi in 1966. D. Angela Merkel in 2005. Answer. A. Margaret Thatcher in 1979. Margaret Thatcher became the UK's first female Prime Minister when she took office in 1979, leading significant economic and social reforms. Question 4. In what year was the Battle of Britain fought during World War II? A. 1939. B. 1940. C. 1941. D. 1942. Answer. B. 1940. The Battle of Britain was fought in 1940, a pivotal air campaign carried out by the German Air Force against the United Kingdom. Question 5. What is the significance of the Bill of Rights 1689 in British constitutional history? A. It established the absolute monarchy. B. It declared the rights of citizens. C. It limited the powers of the monarchy and outlined the rights of Parliament. D. It abolished the monarchy. Answer. C. It limited the powers of the monarchy and outlined the rights of Parliament. The Bill of Rights 1689 is significant for limiting the powers of the monarchy and setting out the rights of Parliament, marking a fundamental moment in the development of a constitutional monarchy in Britain. Question 6. Who was responsible for the establishment of the Church of England in 1534? A. Henry VIII. B. Elizabeth I. C. James II. D. Charles I. Answer. A. Henry VIII. King Henry VIII was responsible for the establishment of the Church of England in 1534 after separating from the Roman Catholic Church. Question 7. What major reform did the Reform Act of 1832 introduce in British politics? A. It abolished the slave trade. B. It introduced the secret ballot. C. It extended the right to vote to the middle classes. D. It established universal suffrage. Answer. C. It extended the right to vote to the middle classes. The Reform Act of 1832 is notable for extending the right to vote beyond the upper classes to the middle classes, significantly widening the electoral franchise. Question 8. Which British monarch officially abolished the slave trade in 1807? A. George III. B. Victoria. C. Elizabeth I. D. Charles II. Answer. A. George III. King George III was the British monarch when the slave trade was officially abolished in 1807, following advocacy by figures such as William Wilberforce. Question 9. Who was the first Roman emperor to invade Britain, and in what year? A. Julius Caesar in 55 BC. B. Nero in 54 AD. C. Caligula in 40 AD. D. Augustus in 27 BC. Answer A. Julius Caesar in 55 BC. Julius Caesar was the first Roman emperor to invade Britain, initiating the Roman conquest of Britain in 55 BC. Question 10. What was the outcome of the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485? A. The victory solidified Tudor rule. B. It led to the War of the Roses. C. It resulted in a stalemate. D. It ended Norman rule. Answer A. The victory solidified Tudor rule. The Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485 was a decisive victory for Henry Tudor, marking the end of the Wars of the Roses and solidifying Tudor rule over England. Question 11. What significant event did the Magna Carta of 1215 lead to in terms of monarchical power? A. It abolished the monarchy. B. It limited the king's power and laid the foundation for constitutional governance. C. It extended the king's power. D. It declared war on France. Answer B. It limited the king's power and laid the foundation for constitutional governance. The Magna Carta of 1215 is significant for limiting the powers of the king and establishing a basis for the rule of law and constitutional governance in England. Question 12. Who authored the influential Vindication of the Rights of Woman in 1792? A. Mary Wollstonecraft. B. Virginia Woolf. C. Jane Austen. D. Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Answer A. Mary Wollstonecraft. A Vindication of the Rights of Woman, authored by Mary Wollstonecraft in 1792, is a seminal work in the history of feminist literature, advocating for equality and women's rights. Question 13. What was the main contribution of the Factory Acts during the Industrial Revolution? A. They introduced the 10-hour workday. B. They regulated child labour and working conditions in factories. C. They abolished factory work. D. They promoted industrial growth. Answer B. They regulated child labour and working conditions in factories. The Factory Acts were a series of laws passed during the Industrial Revolution that significantly improved conditions for workers, especially children, in factories. Question 14. In which year did the Great Fire of London occur, and what was one of its major consequences? A. 1666. It led to the rebuilding of London with new urban designs. B. 1642. It started the English Civil War. C. 1605. It prevented another plague outbreak. D. 1620. It destroyed the original London Bridge. Answer A. 1666. It led to the rebuilding of London with new urban designs. The Great Fire of London occurred in 1666, and one of its major consequences was the comprehensive rebuilding of the city, including new urban planning and the construction of many modern-day landmarks. Question 15. What legislation, passed in 1918, significantly changed voting rights in Britain? A. The Equal Franchise Act. B. The Representation of the People Act. C. The Universal Suffrage Act. D. The Parliamentary Voting Act. Answer B. The Representation of the People Act, passed in 1918. This act significantly changed voting rights in Britain by extending the vote to women over the age of 30 and all men over the age of 21, vastly expanding the electorate. Question 16. Who was the Prime Minister during the signing of the Good Friday Agreement in 1998? A. John Major. B. Tony Blair. C. Margaret Thatcher. D. Gordon Brown. Answer: B. Tony Blair. Tony Blair was the Prime Minister during the signing of the Good Friday Agreement in 1998, which was a major peace agreement aimed at ending the conflict in Northern Ireland. Question 17. What was the main reason behind the English Civil War in the 17th century? A. Economic disagreements between the monarchy and Parliament. B. Religious conflicts between Catholics and Protestants. C. Power struggles between the monarchy and Parliament. D. Territorial disputes with Scotland. Answer: C. Power struggles between the monarchy and Parliament. The main reason behind the English Civil War was the power struggle between the monarchy under Charles I and Parliament, leading to a conflict over how the country should be governed. Question 18. Which scientific figure formulated the laws of motion and universal gravitation in the late 17th century? A. Galileo Galilei. B. Isaac Newton. C. Albert Einstein. D. Nikola Tesla. Answer: B. Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton formulated the laws of motion and universal gravitation in the late 17th century, fundamentally changing the understanding of physics and the natural world. Question 19. What historical document, signed in 1701, aimed to secure Protestant succession to the British throne? A. The Act of Settlement. B. The Act of Union. C. The Royal Decree. D. The Succession Act. Answer: A. The Act of Settlement. The Act of Settlement of 1701 aimed to secure Protestant succession to the British throne, stipulating that only Protestants could inherit the crown, thereby influencing the line of succession. Question 20. What was the primary reason for the construction of Hadrian's Wall in the 2nd century? A. To mark the boundary of the Roman Empire. B. To protect Roman Britain from the Picts. C. To serve as a trade barrier. D. To celebrate Emperor Hadrian's visit to Britain. Answer: B. To protect Roman Britain from the Picts. Hadrian's Wall was primarily constructed in the 2nd century to protect Roman Britain from the Picts and other groups from what is now Scotland, serving as a northern boundary and defensive fortification for the Roman Empire in Britain. Question 21. Who led the British forces in the Falklands War of 1982? A. Margaret Thatcher. B. John Major. C. Winston Churchill. D. Sir Jeremy Moore. Answer: D. Sir Jeremy Moore. Sir Jeremy Moore led the British forces during the Falklands War of 1982, overseeing the military campaign to reclaim the Falkland Islands from Argentine occupation. Question 22. What were the Corn Laws, and why were they controversial? A. Laws regulating the sale of corn within the UK to control prices. B. Tariff measures on imported grain to protect domestic agriculture. C. Legislation mandating the use of corn in biofuel production. D. Laws prohibiting the export of corn to prevent famine. Answer: B. Tariff measures on imported grain to protect domestic agriculture. The Corn Laws were controversial because they imposed tariffs on imported grain, driving up food prices and favouring landowners over consumers, leading to widespread discontent and economic hardship. Question 23. Which act in 1967 decriminalised homosexual acts in private, between two men over the age of 21? A. The Sexual Offences Act. B. The Civil Partnership Act. C. The Equality Act. D. The Human Rights Act. Answer: A. The Sexual Offences Act. The Sexual Offences Act of 1967 was a significant reform that decriminalized homosexual acts in private between two consenting adults over the age of 21, marking a major step forward in gay rights in the UK. Question 24. Who was the last monarch of the House of Tudor? A. Henry VIII. B. Elizabeth I. C. Mary I. D. Edward VI. Answer: B. Elizabeth I. Elizabeth I was the last monarch of the House of Tudor, reigning from 1558 until her death in 1603. Her death marked the end of the Tudor dynasty. Question 25. In what year did women over the age of 30 gain the right to vote in the UK? A. 1918. B. 1928. C. 1938. D. 1948. Answer: A. 1918. Women over the age of 30 gained the right to vote in the UK in 1918 through the Representation of the People Act, which significantly expanded the electorate after World War I. Question 26. What crucial role did the Beveridge Report of 1942 play in the formation of the modern British welfare state? A. It outlined the need for a comprehensive health service. B. It proposed widespread educational reforms. C. It advocated for the establishment of a welfare state to combat poverty. D. It suggested reforms in housing and urban development. Answer: C. It advocated for the establishment of a welfare state to combat poverty. The Beveridge Report of 1942 played a crucial role in laying the groundwork for the modern British welfare state, advocating for comprehensive social insurance and public health measures. Question 27. What major global event did the Munich Agreement of 1938 attempt to address? A. The outbreak of World War II. B. The spread of communism. C. The annexation of Austria. D. The aggression of Nazi Germany. Answer: D. The aggression of Nazi Germany. The Munich Agreement of 1938 was an attempt to appease Nazi Germany by allowing the annexation of the Sudetenland in hopes of preventing further aggression, a policy that ultimately failed. Question 28. What landmark health service was introduced in Britain in 1948? A. The National Health Service, NHS. B. The British Red Cross. C. The Department of Health. D. The Public Health Act. Answer: A. The National Health Service, NHS. The National Health Service, NHS, was introduced in 1948, providing comprehensive healthcare services free at the point of use, funded through taxation. Question 29. Who was the first monarch of the House of Windsor, established in 1917? A. George V. B. Edward VII. C. Elizabeth II. D. George VI. Answer: A. George V. George V was the first monarch of the House of Windsor, which was established in 1917 when the royal family changed its name from the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha due to anti-German sentiment during World War I. Question 30. What was the primary outcome of the Glorious Revolution of 1688? A. The establishment of parliamentary sovereignty. B. The restoration of the monarchy. C. The abdication of James II and D. The introduction of the Bill of Rights. Answer: D. The introduction of the Bill of Rights. The primary outcome of the Glorious Revolution of 1688 was the introduction of the Bill of Rights, which limited the powers of the monarchy and laid the foundation for a constitutional monarchy. Question 31. What event in 1536 significantly altered the religious landscape of England and Wales? A. The dissolution of the monasteries. B. The signing of the Act of Union. C. The establishment of the Church of England. D. The Reformation Parliament. Answer. A. The dissolution of the monasteries. The event in 1536 that significantly altered the religious landscape was the dissolution of the monasteries, initiated by Henry VIII, which led to the redistribution of church lands and wealth and consolidated the establishment of the Church of England. Question 32. Which Prime Minister is associated with the Wind of Change speech, signalling decolonization efforts in Africa? A. Harold Macmillan. B. Winston Churchill. C. Clement Attlee. D. Tony Blair. Answer. A. Harold Macmillan. Harold Macmillan is associated with the Wind of Change speech, delivered in 1960, which acknowledged the growing national aspirations in Africa and signalled British support for decolonization efforts. Question 33. What Act, passed in 1707, unified the Parliaments of England and Scotland? A. The Union of the Crowns. B. The Acts of Union. C. The Magna Carta. D. The Royal Decree. Answer. B. The Acts of Union. The Acts of Union, passed in 1707, officially unified the Parliaments of England and Scotland, creating the Kingdom of Great Britain. Question 34. Who discovered penicillin in 1928, and why was it significant? A. Alexander Fleming. B. Marie Curie. C. Louis Pasteur. D. Robert Koch. Answer. A. Alexander Fleming. Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin in 1928, a breakthrough that led to the development of antibiotics, revolutionizing the treatment of bacterial infections and saving countless lives. Question 35. What infamous ship sank in 1912, leading to major changes in maritime safety regulations? A. The Lusitania. B. The Titanic. C. The Bismarck. D. The Mary Rose. Answer. B. The Titanic. The sinking of the Titanic in 1912 led to major changes in maritime safety regulations, including improved lifeboat provisions and iceberg monitoring. Question 36. In which battle of 1805 did Admiral Lord Nelson die, achieving a significant naval victory? A. The Battle of Trafalgar. B. The Battle of Waterloo. C. The Battle of Jutland. D. The Battle of the Nile. Answer. A. The Battle of Trafalgar. Admiral Lord Nelson died in the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805, achieving a significant naval victory that established British naval supremacy for over a century. Question 37. What is the historical significance of the Battle of Culloden in 1746? A. It ended the Jacobite Rebellion. B. It began the English Civil War. C. It marked the start of the Industrial Revolution. D. It resulted in Scottish independence. Answer. A. It ended the Jacobite Rebellion. The Battle of Culloden in 1746 is historically significant as it ended the Jacobite Rebellion, crushing the last major attempt to restore the Stuart monarchy in Britain, and led to harsh penalties and cultural changes in Scotland. Question 38. Who was the UK Prime Minister during the Suez Crisis of 1956? A. Anthony Eden. B. Harold Wilson. C. Winston Churchill. D. Margaret Thatcher. Answer A. Anthony Eden. Anthony Eden was the UK Prime Minister during the Suez Crisis of 1956, a diplomatic and military conflict that damaged the UK's international standing. Question 39. What was the primary effect of the Black Death on medieval England's population and economy? A. It led to a population increase. B. It caused severe depopulation and economic hardship. C. It boosted economic growth through technological innovation. D. It had little to no effect on the population. Answer B. It caused severe depopulation and economic hardship. The Black Death had a devastating effect on medieval England, causing severe depopulation and resulting in significant economic hardship and social changes. Question 40. In which year did the UK first introduce decimal currency? A. 1961. B. 1971. C. 1981. D. 1991. Answer B. 1971. The UK first introduced decimal currency in 1971, transitioning from pounds, shillings, and pence to a system based on pounds and pence, simplifying transactions and accounting. Question 41. What treaty ended the Revolutionary War between Great Britain and the United States? A. The Treaty of Paris, 1783. B. The Treaty of Ghent. C. The Treaty of Versailles. D. The Treaty of London. Answer A. The Treaty of Paris, 1783. The Treaty of Paris in 1783 officially ended the Revolutionary War, recognizing the independence of the United States from Great Britain. Question 42. What is considered the first major reform act extending the franchise in the UK, passed in 1832? A. The Magna Carta. B. The Reform Act of 1832. C. The Equal Franchise Act of 1928. D. The Representation of the People Act 1918. Answer B. The Reform Act of 1832. The Reform Act of 1832 is considered the first major reform act extending the franchise in the UK, which widened the vote to include more of the middle class and reformed parliamentary constituencies. Question 43. What major social reform did the Married Women's Property Act of 1882 achieve? A. It allowed married women to inherit property. B. It granted women the right to vote. C. It allowed married women to own and control their own property. D. It established maternity leave for working women. Answer C. It allowed married women to own and control their own property. The Married Women's Property Act of 1882 was a significant social reform that allowed married women in England to own, buy, and sell their own property and keep their own earnings. Question 44. Who was the primary British negotiator at the Treaty of Versailles in 1919? A. David Lloyd George. B. Winston Churchill. C. Neville Chamberlain. D. Anthony Eden. Answer A. David Lloyd George. David Lloyd George was the primary British negotiator at the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, playing a key role in the peace talks that ended World War I and reshaped Europe. Question 45. Which monarch issued the Proclamation of 1763 attempting to stabilize relations with Native American tribes? A. King George III. B. Queen Victoria. C. King Edward VII. D. King Henry VIII. Answer A. King George III. King George III issued the Proclamation of 1763, which was intended to stabilize relations with Native American tribes through the regulation of expansion and settlement on tribal lands. Question 46. What was the primary purpose of the Sankey Commission of 1919 in the context of British coal mining? A. To nationalize the coal industry. B. To improve safety standards in coal mines. C. To address labor disputes and improve workers' conditions. D. To increase coal production efficiency. Answer C. To address labor disputes and improve workers' conditions. The Sankey Commission of 1919 was established to address labor disputes in the British coal mining industry and recommended improvements in workers' wages and conditions. Question 47. Who was Britain's longest-serving Prime Minister of the 20th century? A. Margaret Thatcher. B. Harold Wilson. C. Clement Attlee. D. Winston Churchill. Answer A. Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher was Britain's longest-serving Prime Minister of the 20th century, holding office from 1979 to 1990. Question 48. What significant educational reform was implemented with the Butler Act of 1944? A. It introduced the modern system of comprehensive schools. B. It established the national curriculum. C. It provided free secondary education to all children. D. It segregated educational facilities by gender. Answer C. It provided free secondary education to all children. The Butler Act of 1944, also known as the Education Act, significantly reformed education in Britain by providing free secondary education to all children. Question 49. What was the role of the Royal Proclamation of 1763 in American colonial history? A. It declared independence from British rule. B. It established administrative districts in the colonies. C. It restricted colonial expansion west of the Appalachian Mountains. D. It called for a tax on tea. Answer C. It restricted colonial expansion west of the Appalachian Mountains. The Royal Proclamation of 1763 played a role in American colonial history by issuing a boundary known as the Proclamation Line, which restricted colonial expansion to the west of the Appalachian Mountains to mitigate conflicts with Native Americans. Question 50. What critical battle in 1066 resulted in Norman control of England? A. The Battle of Hastings. B. The Battle of Agincourt. C. The Battle of Stamford Bridge. D. The Battle of York. Answer A. The Battle of Hastings. The Battle of Hastings in 1066 was a critical battle that resulted in Norman control of England, with Duke William of Normandy defeating King Harold Uti and establishing Norman rule. Question 51. Which Prime Minister led Britain during the economic crisis of the 1970s? A. Edward Heath. B. James Callaghan. C. Harold Wilson. D. Margaret Thatcher. Answer C. Harold Wilson. Harold Wilson was Prime Minister during part of the economic crisis of the 1970s, which were characterized by inflation and industrial unrest. Question 52. What was the significant impact of the War Acts in the 17th and 18th centuries on the British and colonial economies? A. They restricted war production in the colonies. B. They encouraged the export of wool from Britain to the colonies. C. They mandated that wool could only be sold to Britain. D. They led to the development of the textile industry in the colonies. Answer A. They restricted wool production in the colonies. The War Acts were designed to protect the British textile industry by restricting the export of wool from the colonies, thereby impacting colonial economies by limiting their ability to process and sell wool. Question 53. Who was the British monarch during the union with Ireland in 1801? A. George III. B. Victoria. C. Elizabeth I. D. James II. Answer A. George III. King George III was the British monarch when the Act of Union with Ireland was enacted in 1801, creating the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. Question 54. What was the primary legislative outcome of the Chartist movement in the 19th century? A. The extension of the vote to all men. B. The introduction of secret ballots. C. The establishment of worker rights. D. No immediate legislative changes. Answer D. No immediate legislative changes. While the Chartist movement was significant in advocating for political reforms and the extension of suffrage, it did not achieve immediate legislative success. However, it laid the groundwork for future electoral reforms. Question 55. What is the significance of the Battle of Britain in 1940? A. It was the first major military campaign fought entirely by air forces. B. It marked the beginning of World War II. C. It was the largest naval battle in British history. D. It led to the immediate end of the war. Answer A. It was the first major military campaign fought entirely by air forces. The Battle of Britain in 1940 was significant as it was the first major military campaign fought entirely by air forces and marked a crucial turning point in World War II by preventing a German invasion. Question 56. In which year and under what treaty did Hong Kong return to Chinese sovereignty? A. 1997, Sino-British Joint Declaration. B. 1984, Treaty of Beijing. C. 1997, Hong Kong Handover Treaty. D. 1984, Sino-British Joint Declaration. Answer A. 1997, Sino-British Joint Declaration. Hong Kong returned to Chinese sovereignty in 1997 under the terms of the Sino-British Joint Declaration, an agreement signed in 1984 that outlined the terms of the handover. Question 57. Who was the first British astronaut in space, and in what year did this occur? A. Tim Peake in 2015. B. Helen Sharman in 1991. C. Michael Foale in 1992. D. Piers Sellers in 2002. Answer B. Helen Sharman in 1991. Helen Sharman became the first British astronaut to go into space in 1991, participating in the Soyuz mission to the Mir space station. Question 58. What significant public health legislation was passed in Britain in 1848? A. The Clean Air Act. B. The Public Health Act. C. The Health and Morals of Apprentices Act. D. The National Health Service Act. Answer B. The Public Health Act. The Public Health Act of 1848 was a significant piece of legislation in Britain that addressed public health issues related to the Industrial Revolution, including sanitation and the control of infectious diseases. Question 59. Who was the first female Speaker of the House of Commons, and in what year did she assume office? A. Betty Boothroyd in 1992. B. Margaret Thatcher in 1979. C. Harriet Harman in 2007. D. Theresa May in 1997. Answer A. Betty Boothroyd in 1992. Betty Boothroyd became the first female Speaker of the House of Commons in 1992. known for her strong and fair approach to managing debates in the House. Question 60. What was the major cause of the peasants' revolt in 1381? A. Discontent with the monarchy. B. Religious reforms. C. Economic hardships and oppressive taxation. D. Land disputes with France. Answer: C. Economic hardships and oppressive taxation. The major cause of the peasants' revolt in 1381 was economic hardship coupled with oppressive taxation, which led to widespread discontent among the lower classes. Question 61. Which Act, passed in 1998, established a devolved parliamentary system in Scotland? A. The Scotland Act. B. The Devolution Act. C. The Glasgow Agreement. D. The Edinburgh Declaration. Answer: A. The Scotland Act. The Scotland Act of 1998 established a devolved parliamentary system in Scotland, granting it its own parliament with powers over many areas of domestic policy. Question 62. What historic agreement was signed in 1921 that petitioned Ireland? A. The Good Friday Agreement. B. The Anglo-Irish Treaty. C. The Dublin Accord. D. The Belfast Agreement. Answer: B. The Anglo-Irish Treaty. The Anglo-Irish Treaty of 1921 led to the partition of Ireland into Northern Ireland and the Irish Free State, which eventually became the Republic of Ireland. Question 63. Who was the key figure in the abolition of the British slave trade in 1807? A. William Wilberforce. B. Thomas Clarkson. C. Granville Sharp. D. Olaudah Equiano. Answer: A. William Wilberforce. William Wilberforce was a key figure in the movement to abolish the slave trade in Britain, his efforts culminating in the passage of the Slave Trade Act in 1807. Question 64. What was the main reason behind the introduction of the poll tax in 1990, and what was its outcome? A. To simplify the tax system. It led to widespread protests and riots. B. To increase revenue. It was widely accepted. C. To decrease government spending. It resulted in economic growth. D. To enforce fiscal responsibility. It led to political stability. Answer: A. To simplify the tax system. It led to widespread protests and riots. The introduction of the poll tax in 1990 aimed to simplify the tax system, but instead led to widespread protests and was a significant factor in Margaret Thatcher's resignation. Question 65. Which treaty formally ended World War II for Britain? A. The Treaty of Versailles. B. The Treaty of Paris. C. The Potsdam Agreement. D. The Yalta Conference. Answer: C. The Potsdam Agreement. The Potsdam Agreement in 1945 among the Allied powers formally ended World War II for Britain, setting the terms for the post-war reconstruction of Germany. Question 66. What significant act was introduced by Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher to privatise state-owned enterprises? A. The Privatisation Act of 1986. B. The Free Market Act of 1982. C. The Public Sector Reform Act of 1984. D. The Enterprise Act of 1980. Answer: A. The Privatisation Act of 1986. This act, introduced by Margaret Thatcher, aimed to reduce the size of the public sector and increase the role of the private sector in the economy through the privatisation of state-owned enterprises. Question 67. What major conflict led to the establishment of the Magna Carta in 1215? A. The 100 Years' War. B. The War of the Roses. C. The Anarchy. D. The First Barons' War. Answer: D. The First Barons' War. The establishment of the Magna Carta in 1215 was a direct result of the grievances and unrest caused by the First Barons' War, leading to a Charter of Liberties that the King agreed to observe. Question 68. Who led the English forces in the Spanish Armada campaign of 1588? A. Sir Francis Drake. B. Sir Walter Raleigh. C. Sir John Hawkins. D. Sir Charles Howard. Answer: A. Sir Francis Drake. Sir Francis Drake was one of the leading commanders of the English forces during the successful defence against the Spanish Armada in 1588. Question 69. What was the primary focus of the Education Reform Act of 1988? A. To introduce national curriculum standards. B. To segregate schools by gender. C. To privatise public schools. D. To decrease government funding for education. Answer: A. To introduce national curriculum standards. The Education Reform Act of 1988 was significant for introducing national curriculum standards across public schools in the UK, aiming to standardise educational content. Question 70. Which landmark case in 1772 significantly influenced the abolitionist movement in England? A. The Zong Massacre case. B. The Somerset case. C. The Mansfield case. D. The Scottsboro Boys case. Answer: B. The Somerset case. The Somerset case of 1772 was a landmark judgment in England that held that slavery was unsupported by the common law in England, significantly influencing the abolitionist movement. Question 71. What was the outcome of the Act of Union 1707 on the Scottish Parliament? A. It was dissolved. B. It gained greater powers. C. It remained unchanged. D. It became fully independent. Answer: A. It was dissolved. The Act of Union 1707 led to the dissolution of the separate Scottish Parliament, integrating it into the Parliament of Great Britain at Westminster. Question 72. Who was the key architect behind the National Health Service introduced in 1948? A. Clement Attlee. B. Nye Bevan. C. Winston Churchill. D. Margaret Thatcher. Answer: B. Nye Bevan. Nye Bevan, the Minister of Health at the time, was the key architect behind the establishment of the National Health Service in 1948, which aimed to provide health care free at the point of use to all British citizens. Question 73. What was the significant impact of the Great Reform Act on British electoral politics? A. It abolished the monarchy. B. It introduced automatic voter registration. C. It expanded the electorate and reformed the distribution of parliamentary seats. D. It limited voting rights to landowners. Answer: C. It expanded the electorate and reformed the distribution of parliamentary seats. The Great Reform Act of 1832 had a significant impact on British electoral politics by expanding the electorate to include more middle-class men and reforming the distribution of seats to make representation more equitable. Question 74. In what year did the Bank of England gain independence from direct government control? A. 1946. B. 1997. C. 1981. D. 2008. Answer: B. 1997. The Bank of England gained independence from direct government control in 1997, granting it the authority to set interest rates independently to control inflation. Question 75. Which historical document, created in 1215, has had a profound influence on legal systems worldwide? A. The Doomsday Book. B. The Magna Carta. C. The Bill of Rights. D. The Charter of Liberties. Answer: B. The Magna Carta. Created in 1215, the Magna Carta has had a profound influence on legal systems worldwide, embodying principles of justice and the rule of law that have been foundational to modern democracies. Question 76. What was the main result of the Enclosure Acts in England? A. The creation of public parks. B. The consolidation of land into larger farms, displacing many small landholders. C. The redistribution of land to the peasantry. D. The establishment of the modern property law system. Answer: B. The consolidation of land into larger farms, displacing many small landholders. The Enclosure Acts resulted in the consolidation of land into larger farms, which significantly displaced many small landholders and altered the agricultural landscape of England. Question 77. Who was the Prime Minister when the UK voted to leave the European Union in 2016? A. David Cameron. B. Theresa May. C. Tony Blair. D. Boris Johnson. Answer: A. David Cameron. David Cameron was the Prime Minister when the UK voted to leave the European Union in 2016, a decision that led to his resignation following the referendum result. Question 78. What was the primary goal of the Social Reform Act of 1834? A. To establish the modern welfare state. B. To reform the poor laws and reduce dependency on state welfare. C. To introduce public education. D. To abolish child labour. Answer: B. To reform the poor laws and reduce dependency on state welfare. The Social Reform Act of 1834 aimed to reform the poor laws by centralising and reducing the cost of poor relief and reducing dependency on state welfare. Question 79. What pivotal role did the Balfour Declaration of 1917 play in Middle Eastern history? A. It led to the establishment of the League of Nations. B. It promised a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. C. It created the modern borders of the Middle East. D. It ended the Ottoman Empire. Answer: B. It promised a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. The Balfour Declaration of 1917 played a pivotal role in Middle Eastern history by expressing British support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine, influencing the eventual establishment of Israel. Question 80. Who was the British monarch during the Zulu Wars of 1879? A. Queen Victoria. B. King Edward VII. C. Queen Elizabeth I. D. King George III. Answer: A. Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria was the British monarch during the Zulu Wars of 1879, a conflict in South Africa between the British Empire and the Zulu Kingdom. Question 81. What was the primary focus of the Beveridge Report published during World War II? A. To provide strategies for post-war reconstruction. B. To outline the creation of the welfare state. C. To propose reforms in the British Armed Forces. D. To suggest changes in the British education system. Answer: B. To outline the creation of the welfare state. The Beveridge Report, published during World War II, focused on outlining the creation of the welfare state with comprehensive plans for social insurance and public health, which laid the groundwork for modern social welfare policies in the UK. Question 82. What impact did the Witchcraft Act of 1735 have on British legal practices? A. It decriminalized witchcraft as a capital offense. B. It introduced harsher penalties for witchcraft. C. It established a witchcraft regulatory body. D. It mandated the trial of witches in secular courts. Answer: A. It decriminalized witchcraft as a capital offense. The Witchcraft Act of 1735 marked a significant shift in British legal practices by decriminalizing witchcraft as a capital offense, effectively ending the persecution of individuals for witchcraft under English law. Question 83. What landmark ruling in 1969 began the decriminalization of homosexuality in the UK? A. The Human Rights Act. B. The Sexual Offences Act. C. The Civil Partnership Act. D. The Equality Act. Answer: B. The Sexual Offences Act. The landmark ruling under the Sexual Offences Act of 1967, which took effect in 1969, began the process of decriminalizing homosexuality in the UK by allowing homosexual acts in private between consenting adults. Question 84. What was the main effect of the Railways Act of 1921 on British transportation? A. It privatised the railway industry. B. It nationalised the railway companies into 4 major groups. C. It introduced high-speed rail service. D. It abolished railway competition. Answer: B. It nationalised the railway companies into 4 major groups. The Railways Act of 1921 had a significant effect on British transportation by reorganising and nationalising railway companies into 4 major groups, aiming to increase efficiency and reduce competition. Question 85. What controversial event led to the resignation of a British Prime Minister in the 20th century? A. The Suez Crisis. B. The Falklands War. C. The Brexit referendum. D. The Gulf War. Answer: A. The Suez Crisis. The Suez Crisis in 1956 was a controversial event that led to the resignation of Prime Minister Anthony Eden due to the political fallout and criticism of the handling of the crisis. Question 86. What was the significance of the Silver Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth I in 1977? A. It marked 25 years of her reign. B. It celebrated the end of World War II. C. It coincided with the Millennium celebrations. D. It honoured the Queen's birthday. Answer: A. It marked 25 years of her reign. The Silver Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II in 1977 was significant as it marked 25 years of her reign, celebrated with various events and activities across the UK and the Commonwealth. Question 87. What major political change occurred in Britain in 1969 related to voting age? A. The voting age was raised to 21. B. The voting age was lowered to 18. C. Women were allowed to vote. D. Non-citizens were granted voting rights. Answer: B. The voting age was lowered to 18. A major political change occurred in Britain in 1969 when the voting age was lowered from 21 to 18, broadening the electorate and giving more young people a voice in political matters. Question 88. Who was involved in the Gunpowder Plot of 1605, and what was the intended outcome? A. Guy Fawkes, to restore a Protestant monarch. B. Oliver Cromwell, to overthrow the monarchy. C. Guy Fawkes, to blow up the Houses of Parliament and kill King James II. D. William Shakespeare, to protest against the government. Answer: C. Guy Fawkes, to blow up the Houses of Parliament and kill King James II. The Gunpowder Plot of 1605 involving Guy Fawkes and other conspirators, was an attempt to blow up the Houses of Parliament during the state opening to kill King James II and restore a Catholic monarch. Question 89. What was the Treaty of Edinburgh-Northampton, and what did it signify in 1328? A. It ended the Scottish Wars of Independence. B. It began the 100 Years' War. C. It recognised Scottish independence from England. D. Both A and C. Answer: D. Both A and C. The Treaty of Edinburgh-Northampton in 1328 ended the Scottish Wars of Independence and recognised Scottish independence from England, marking a significant moment in Scottish history. Question 90. What role did the Battle of the Atlantic play in World War II for Britain? A. It was a minor naval skirmish. B. It secured British naval dominance. C. It was a critical campaign to control Atlantic sea routes and ensure vital supplies. D. It led to the invasion of Britain. Answer: C. It was a critical campaign to control Atlantic sea routes and ensure vital supplies. The Battle of the Atlantic was crucial for Britain during World War II as it involved a prolonged campaign to control the Atlantic sea routes, which were vital for receiving supplies and support needed for the war effort. Question 91. Who was the first post-war Prime Minister of Britain, and what were his major reforms? A. Winston Churchill, military reforms. B. Clement Attlee, establishment of the welfare state. C. Harold Macmillan, economic policies. D. Edward Heath, European integration. Answer: B. Clement Attlee, establishment of the welfare state. Clement Attlee, who became Prime Minister immediately after World War II, implemented major reforms including the establishment of the welfare state, the National Health Service, and nationalisation of key industries. Question 92. What was the main reason behind the creation of the British East India Company in 1600? A. To explore uncharted territories. B. To conduct trade with the East Indies. C. To colonize the Americas. D. To compete with Spanish naval power. Answer: B. To conduct trade with the East Indies. The main reason behind the creation of the British East India Company in 1600 was to conduct trade with the East Indies, focusing on spices and other valuable goods, establishing Britain as a major trading nation. Question 93. What significant event led to the founding of the Metropolitan Police Service in 1829? A. The increase in crime in London. B. A royal decree. C. The passing of the Metropolitan Police Act. D. Public demand for law reform. Answer: C. The passing of the Metropolitan Police Act. The founding of the Metropolitan Police Service in 1829 was led by the passing of the Metropolitan Police Act, which aimed to establish a professional police force for Greater London, initiated by then Home Secretary Sir Robert Peel. Question 94. What was the purpose behind the establishment of the Royal Society in 1660? A. To promote scientific research and collaboration. B. To oversee religious reforms. C. To govern the colonies. D. To manage royal finances. Answer: A. To promote scientific research and collaboration. The Royal Society, established in 1660, was created to promote scientific research and collaboration among scholars, playing a pivotal role in the advancement of science during the Enlightenment. Question 95. What was the primary goal of the Mines Act of 1842 in Britain? A. To regulate the working conditions in mines. B. To privatise mining operations. C. To nationalise the coal industry. D. To increase coal production. Answer A. To regulate the working conditions in mines. The Mines Act of 1842 was enacted to improve working conditions in mines, notably by prohibiting the employment of women and children underground, marking a significant step towards modern labour regulations.